Arena Carioca 1 here in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Day 2 and individual event 3 of the men's side in the Latin American Regional. It's Vendor Village. The Reebok stand, by the way. Good luck getting yourself some gear. The line wraps around it. They are going nuts for the CrossFit Regionals. The first appearance for a regional here in Latin America since 2014. Well deserved to get it back, and they have come out for it. Joel Godek, glad to have you along with us. Chase Ingram, 5 times a regional athlete. Tefi Escudero alongside as well. Let's take a look at where we sit through 2 events on the men's side. Andre Sanchez, a surprise leader and a comfortably surprise leader. 24 points, the largest lead in any of the 3 regionals going on this weekend right now.
I would say that's comfortable if you can walk on your hands, because if you can't, you're going to drop way down the leaderboard.
Walking on your hands, minorly critical right now. Round 3, 3 rounds, 9 muscle-ups to a handstand walk over an obstacle, then a 15-foot handstand walk straight, and then pistols, 36, 45, 54 handstand walk set back in there as well. Your lane assignments here in Heat 3. Lucas Almeida in lane 1, all the way down to Thomas Wilson, the lone representative of the British Virgin Islands, starting things out in lane 10. This is a much different look to event 3 than we will see in the other regionals across the world. Bar muscle-ups instead of ring muscle-ups, 1 handstand walk obstacle, and there is no chest piece to move forward as you do the pistol single leg squats. Instead, it is a 70-pound barbell you have to walk down the lane. That all goes back to the truck strike in Brazil that is now on day 6, which has held up most of, if not all, of the CrossFit equipment about 60 kilometers away from here. And if you're thinking to yourself, what does just a truck strike in Brazil have to do with this? Here is the impact that the truck strike has had. As many as 521 highways blockaded across this country in all but 2 of the 27 states. It has halted garbage collection. Public schools shut down yesterday. Public transportation has kept folks from being able to get to work. They are rationing fuel for emergency vehicles. So this is not just CrossFit not being able to get the rig, which you can see behind you has come from CrossFit Crown, locally sourced in Rio de Janeiro. It has impacted things in this arena, but also in and around Brazil, where even supermarket shelves are starting to go empty. A minute 17 in to a 13-minute capped event. On to the first round of pistols. 36 of them, you advance forward every 18.
As you're watching these athletes go, is that the time to beat is actually set in heat number 1, and somewhat nonchalantly by Agustin Rihelme at 7 minutes and 20 seconds. And what you're kind of looking at for these guys, you can see the bottom left part of your screen, is that he went unbroken on everything. He went unbroken on the bar muscle-ups. He never stopped to come down on the handstand walk in either direction. So if you plan to break anywhere, the one place you can actually make up time, and what I saw was on the pistols. Rihelme was very smooth on the pistols. He never stopped going. But if you have the ability to knock these out, and we've seen this before, that is your only opportunity to get an event win for this individual event number 3. If not, that time set by Rihelme at 7:20 is going to be untouchable.
Maxi Aragosi is the first one back to the rig to begin with his bar muscle-ups here. Aragosi was one of our favorites to begin the weekend. He fell behind a little bit yesterday, and he comes in here to day 2 trying to make up some ground. In lane 1 on the far side is Lucas Almeida, who has begun his bar muscle-ups along with Andoron Primo. He is the local favorite out of Sao Paulo, Brazil, but also somewhat disappointed in his performance yesterday. He starts today 116 points back in 11th place. There is Aragosi. And you'll see a lot of guys, once they can get over that obstacle, try to go unbroken through the 15-foot flat wall.
When you think about it, most people's handstand walks at this point in time in the CrossFit Games and regional level is about as consistent as just walking normally on your feet. There's a reason why this obstacle was thrown in as a wrench for these athletes, is that, you know, walking on your hands is a skill that we have developed pretty proficiently in terms of regional and games level athletes. Now you throw in an obstacle like this and it's adapt and overcome scenario, right? Here's a piece of equipment you have never seen or used before. Adapt to it and overcome, and that's what you want, and that's what we want to see from a lot of these athletes, is throw a challenge at them and see how they can figure it out on the fly, so to speak.
Think you can walk on your hands? Try walking upstairs. Dave Castro's always got something up his sleeve. Arrigosi is still on the front of this. He is being joined by Almeida to his right at the lead of the pack. 15th place after yesterday.
Now, single leg squat side to side. It's a good tempo, and you can see him kind of rock laterally just a little bit. And what that does is it shifts his weight to his other foot and kind of helps him keep balance. One thing you'll notice is some people is they can go straight down, but you might fall to the side. So I kind of like that teeter-totter tempo that he has going on.
That 70-pound dumbbell being advanced for Arrigosi all the way to the end, where he will come back to do his final round of 54 squats. But in order to do that, he has the gateway of the handstand walk on the return. He'll kick up at the red line. You can see him at the far side of your screen. He'll hit the up ramp of that third obstacle. What is so hard about the obstacle? What changes about having to walk up a ramp and downstairs in this situation as opposed to upstairs?
Well, I think going up and then going down on the backside, which these athletes are going, is the easier direction to go. The ramp itself, you know, it's not too difficult. It's just different. You got to shift your body weight way in front of you. So normal walking on your hands, you do have your heels over here just a little bit. But when you get the ramp, you almost have to lean further forward with your feet, almost like you're getting off balance to offset the angle of the ramp. On the steps, that just takes a lot of control. What's tough is the way back. So after they finish their last set of bar muscle-ups here, walking up those steps is a very difficult challenge if you aren't used to this type of implement. You can use plates, you can go outside and use stairs. You know, when this first came out, I was using like the wheelchair ramps outside our facility to just see if I could walk up a ramp just to get a first blush on it. But the hard thing about the stairs is that it requires a lot of shoulder strength as well as balance. So there's a strength element that's not often tested with handstand walks here.
Halfway through in this 13-minute time-capped event 3, in lane 10, Thomas Wilson making his way to the regionals out of the Virgin Islands, the British Virgin Islands. We talk about what's going on in Brazil right now with the truck driver strike. That's nothing compared to what Wilson has been through. From the British Virgin Islands, he owns his own box, CrossFit Castaway. It was hit by a flood covered in 4 feet of water and mud right before his wedding. So he had 8 groomsmen and 2 coaches and box members come to clean up that box. What came next? If you follow the news, 3 weeks later, it was Hurricane Irma on September 7th, the strongest hurricane ever recorded to hit the community in the British Virgin Islands. It destroyed his box completely. But after an event like that, CrossFit is actually what brought the British Virgin Islands back together, at least around Tortola. They did everything outside. They ran classes in a field. They did burpees in the mud. They called it the Jungle Gym. CrossFit community here in Brazil came together. There on the British Virgin Islands came together. Amazing examples of what this sport can do on the humanity side of things.
You know, say the beauty of CrossFit in terms of a training program is really just kind of saving lives and building community. The CrossFit game side of it isn't usually tied to that, but it is here in the Latin American regional.
There's your 2 at the front right now. Lucas Almeida is on the left. Arrigosi trying to tackle the handstand walk, just the flat ground 15 feet right now, and is having trouble somersaulting through, trying to keep his balance here.
Tell you what, Almeida just sitting over in lane number 1 is just a casual first place finish in this heat, and that's a great time for this event.
8:27. That is slower than the 7:20 by Riquelme at the beginning of it. It is faster than the event record that was set last week, but it is apples and oranges because of the changes we talked about with the bar muscle-ups and just the one obstacle on the handstands, as per 2.
You know, just get an idea of what can happen towards the end of this event. Aragosi was well in front, and now you have in lane number 5 coming in Elron Primo, who's a fan favorite coming in, moved well into second place.
They might go nuts after he finishes these final 9. They are on their feet in Brazil for the Sao Paulo native with 9:15 to go, or rather gone by. Primo is done. Aragosi trying to pick it up again out of Buenos Aires, the 25-year-old Argentinian. Toluca Nunez CrossFit. Checking the rearview mirror, he's got plenty of time. Almost everyone has the 70-pound dumbbell, the substitute chest piece, to the final line. 8 of the 10 lanes. 13-minute cap, 3 minutes to go. And there's the finish in lane 3 for Aragosi. So he fell behind, but he gets it done. And with plenty of time to go, we might see a horde of finishers here in Heat 3.
We got to think this is a very challenging event when you had the ring muscle-ups and the 2 handstand walk courses, as Grosso will finish. But
just casually
walking across the line. But here it's so much easier. You're going to see a lot of guys push the pace where it now actually becomes a race here at this regional, as opposed to just being good at one thing on the obstacle course.
Mauro Acevedo is done. Paulo Hosil is done. Somewhat surprisingly, the last games representative out of Latin America back in 2014, Latin America Regional, Emmanuel Maldonado, still going on the pistols. 2 minutes left. Maldonado, Wilson, and also in lane 6, Agustin Garavaglia are the 3 remaining on the course with 1.5 minutes left in Heat 3. Maldonado will finish. The question is if his 2 competitors can get across with 80 seconds left. No rep there. Another no rep. Maldonado trying to figure out where he's going wrong. Gets that confirmation as we hit the 12-minute mark, and you can see the toll the single leg squat is taking on you. The rocking back and forth of Maldonado to the finish line.
I mean, I think it's very deceptive of what a lot of these athletes make this movement look like in terms of ease for a single leg squat. That is not the easiest thing to do, especially when you're one of the taller, larger athletes in the field. That is a long way to go on one leg.
There is Wilson, kind of the father of CrossFit in the Virgin Islands as well. He's been first in the Virgin Islands each of the last 3 years. He owns Castaway, the first box on Tortola. He's got a chance here. He's just got to be quick with 20 seconds left. 6 more, 5, now 4 more. Can Wilson get in under the cap designation? Checks the clock out of the corner of his eye. He's done. Thomas Wilson makes it 9 finishers here in heat number 3. The men crushed event 3. It was a little modified.
A lot modified.
But they got it done.
Nothing little about it.
Heat number 4 coming up. These are the top 10 coming into day 2 of competition.